Hi guys, my name is Sam Cates. I'm the founder and owner of Tiny Tenkara. In this video, I'm going to walk through how to set up either your Tiny 10 or your Tiny 10 2. I'll let you guys know everything you need to know about the rod, as well as how to set up the rod for the first time. I'm also going to give you a quick walkthrough of what I bring in my fishing pack. So a few extra pieces of gear that make my life a little bit easier when I'm out fishing with the Tiny Tenkara rods. Alright, so let's jump right into it. Alright guys, so when you receive your rod, it's going to come in a nice hard case like this, which is great if you have to travel with the rod. Inside will be a little cloth case for the rod that keeps it from being dinged up while it's inside this hard case. Each rod comes with a rod tip plug and removable base plate, and the handles will come wrapped in plastic. Feel free to remove that plastic. As you can tell, the cork will patina quite nicely over time. I've been using this rod for about 5 years now, and the handle has darkened up quite nicely, so feel free to remove that plastic. Just as a quick note, when removing the base plate, you should really only have to do this for two reasons. One, if you've broken a section and need to replace it, or if you've gotten a bunch of gunk and grime inside the rod and it is keeping the rod from extending or collapsing smoothly. So if you've taken the rod apart and are looking to put it back together, what you should do is what I call the drop test. So each section has a top part of the section and the bottom. The top will always go in first. The way you can tell the top part of the section from the bottom is the bottom section of each section of this rod is ground down to a tolerance so that when you extend and collapse the rod, it locks and unlocks smoothly. So you can look at it and you can tell that this has been grounded. This has this nice clean matte back finish, while that finish has kind of been ground off on the bottom. However, if that's not obvious to you, that's no problem. I always revert to the drop test. So if you're unsure, just take the section and drop it into this, and just drop it in. What this will do is, like, if you've inserted the section correctly like I have, it will fall right through and lock into position. However, if you've inverted the section and go to do the drop test, it will get stuck like this. Every time. You'll never have to, if you've inserted the section correctly, you will never have to force it through. So always go to the drop test, because if you've inverted it and dropped it in, you can quite easily pull it out. However, if I have jammed this in here, it's going to get stuck, and this section will need to be replaced, as well as the section you've jammed it into, and that is not covered by the rod's limited warranty. And that's the #1 warranty claim we get. So if you're unsure, always just do the drop test and you'll avoid any problems putting the rod back together. Just want to quickly go over how to extend and collapse the rod. To extend the rod, what you're going to do is you're going to just lightly grasp around the tip and just pull it out section by section, letting those sections kind of catch on your fingers. I'm barely squeezing it, and I'm not really forcing these sections apart. And that's the proper way to extend the rod. You're never going to want to flick the rod out as if it was like a chalkboard pointer or a toy lightsaber, as that will cause these sections to freeze up, and it's going to be really hard to unstick those sections, particularly the top two. So never whip it out like that. Always extend it gently, section by section. To collapse, if you've extended it correctly, it should collapse down very easily, where you can just, push the sections back into the rod like so. Now the section that will get stuck the most that we found is going to be this top one, and I'm just going to pull it apart really hard there so it gets stuck. To unstick this section, what you're going to do is you're going to pinch right above and below the joint as close as you can, and you're going to twist and push together. Okay, twist and push together, and it will get unstuck quite easily. So that is the proper way to extend and collapse a Tiny Tenkara rod. Alright guys, so now we're going to talk about how to set up the line for your rod for the first time. So we sell a line kit which includes 6X tippet, level line, and a foam line holder. You're going to need all three of these things in order to start fishing with the rod. The first step on how to set up your rod is at the tip of each of our rods, whether it be the Tiny 10 or the Tiny 10 2, you've got a swiveling tip with this piece of cord hanging off of it that's called the lilian, and you just need to put a quick stopper knot in the lilian. What that looks like is it's just going to be a simple knot like this. Okay, it's the simplest knot you can do, a nice little overhand knot. You're going to throw that in the tip of the rod. Have it close to the end, but you're gonna wanna leave a little bit of tag hanging off just so the knot doesn't fail. Nothing crazy on that. Okay, the next step is going to be the level line. So if you've got our Tiny 10, you're going to pull off 5 feet of level line. If you have our Tiny 10 2, you're going to pull off 8 feet of level line. So however long the rod is, that's how much level line you should put on. For just demonstration purposes, I'm going to use this green line here to demonstrate what the knot we do in the level line. So it's very simple. You're just going to put a fixed loop at both ends of the level line, and to make a fixed loop, you're going to take your line, fold it over on itself like that, or perform a U-turn. Then you're going to make a loop out of that, okay? And then you're going to just put the tip through and pull that tight, okay? Feel free, you can trim this up. This is called the tag, and you're going to do that at both ends of your level line as you're going to make that fixed loop. So to connect the level line to the tip of your rod, what you're going to do is you're going to take your fingers, send them through the loop, and pinch, and then pull the line through. Okay, so now you've got this second loop. What you'll do is you'll take that loop, stick it in the rod, and you'll cinch this whole thing tight like this. Okay. And this looks a little messy just because I haven't trimmed up the tag here, but basically it's going to just cinch up like that. It's a very simple hitch, okay, and then this will slide up against the stopper knot you have put in there, so it'll keep it from coming off. Okay, one tip I have recently started doing is take a little piece of level line and tie it to the top of the fixed loop. For example, something you're just going to tie a little piece of level line like this to the top of the loop, okay? And you'll trim you'll trim this end down, and you leave about, I don't know, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch here. I've done that on this. It's it's pretty hard to see. I don't know if you guys can see that, but so what that does is when the line is attached to the Lillian, and if you need to quickly and if you ever need to change your line or pull the line off to store the rod, you just pull that and the whole knot comes loose, as you can see, just like that. And it makes things a lot easier than trying to tease that knot loose by hand. So I recommend doing that. It makes life a little bit easier. So like I said, you're going to put just this fixed loop knot we just talked about at both ends of your level line. Okay, now your next step is to set up the tippet, and for that I'm just going to use this white rope here to demonstrate the tippet. Now, the amount of tippet you want to put on your line really depends on your own wingspan. When using this rod, I am bow and arrow casting 95% of the time. There's a link here in the corner to our how to bow and arrow cast video if you don't know what that is, but you want to pull off however much tippet enables you to do that cast comfortably. In my case, that's about a foot to 18 inches. It really just is up to your own wingspan how much you need to take off, so you can do a little bit of experimentation with that, just whatever enables you to do it comfortably. So once you've pulled your tippet off, at one end of your tippet you're going to do the exact same fixed loop that we've done on both ends of the level line, and once again you take your line, bend it back over itself, form a loop in the middle, and then send the end through. Okay, and then pull that tight. That's how we do the fixed loop, and you'll do that at one end of the tippet. So now you've got your tippet here, and you've got the bottom end of your level line, and to connect these two, an easiest way to do this is send the tippet through the loop of the level line like that, and then send the tippet through the loop of itself. Okay, just like that. And now you've got what we call just a simple loop to loop connection. And so it can look like this. That's no problem, but if you can, try to tease it this so it actually goes like that. Someone once told me that's a much securer way to do this. It doesn't really matter with the type of fishing we'll be doing, because no one's going after crazy huge fish where knot strength really matters that much. But if you can make it look like this, it also looks a little bit better. That's great. But again, if it ends up looking like this, no problem at all. It'll perform the same, but just in case you're a perfectionist, try to make it look like that. Okay, so now you've got your tippet attached to your level line, and now you've just got to tie on your fly, and we're just going to use a fisherman's knot to do that. I'm not going to go too in depth on the fisherman's knot, just because there's a whole bunch of better videos out there on how to do it. But quickly, what you're going to do, let's pretend like the hole in this tippet holder is going to be the eye of the hook. So you're going to take your tippet, send it through the eye of the hook, and you're going to wrap the line around itself, I don't know, about 5 times, 3 to 5 times. And then once you've wrapped it around, you're going to send it through this loop here at the bottom. Let's see if you guys can see that, like that. Okay, and then you send it. So once you've sent it through the loop at the bottom, you've got this second loop here, and you're going to send it back through that. Now you've got the fisherman's knot. While it's loose, before you've tightened it, you're going to want to lick this whole knot, so that when you cinch it down, like so, it cinches down nice and easy. What happened? The reason we do that is because if you cinch it down and it's unlubricated, the tippet will heat up, it will become brittle, and then it'll break much easier. So you just want to give that a quick lick so that doesn't happen. But that is quickly the fisherman's knot. And now your rod will be completely set up. Okay, so now we're just going to quickly move on to what I take in my day pack when I'm out fishing. Here's just a quick overview of what I pack. This, of course, is the Tiny Tenkara chest pack. It was specifically designed by me for these rods. They're great for a whole bunch of reasons. Here's a link explaining all the features of the pack. But just an overview of what I have in here. I always bring both rods. I keep the Tiny 10-2 clipped to the rod clip on the bottom, and the original Tiny 10 fits very perfectly inside the pack. Okay, so the first thing is you're gonna need a pair of forceps. These are a must because undoubtedly the fish will really get the fly stuck in the back of its throat and you can't reach in there with your fingers. Super helpful to have some forceps. The next thing I bring is a little pair of nail clippers here, which I've attached just to this front zipper. And these are great because if you need to trim your tippet or cut some level line off, just a great way to do that. The next thing I always bring with me is going to be a little thing of floatant. I generally fish dry flies when I'm using Tiny Tenkara, and this keeps those flies nice and buoyant. Moving on to the main section of the pack, I have, of course, a little fly box. This gives me options in case I lose a fly or the fish aren't eating with the fly I have. I've got a whole bunch of options. Always great to have a whole bunch of flies. The bags do come with this nice little Velcro strap here and it will have a little foam, a piece of foam Velcro to there, and you can store flies on there. That's what that's for. I like to have just a few more options, but you're more than welcome to use the one that comes with the bag. These back pockets here are perfect for storing the tippet as well as the level line that comes in our line kit. That way, if your line gets tangled or you get stuck in a tree or something like that, you can completely replace your line setup for your rod, which is a must. These things are basically just camera lenses for my phone when I'm out filming. Definitely not necessary. But so in review, the things I would recommend you need are forceps, nail clippers, and floatant, as well as some extra flies. And that's basically all you would need for a great day of fishing with Tiny Tenkara. And that is my fishing bag setup. Alright guys, so that's everything you need to know about our rods, how to set them up for the first time, as well as what I bring in my fishing pack for a great day of Tiny Tenkara fishing. Once again, thank you so much for your purchase, and we really hope you enjoy our rods.